My notes. Okay, you know we have an addendum. Where do you want me to piece this in?
Right in the beginning.
Okay. Approval of minutes.
Right after board goals.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready?
Sir. No, where am I? Oh, that's she's talking about.
Okay, good evening, all. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118, and Verizon Fios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Wednesday, September 16, 2015. The board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items.
The Old Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Andriani,
Present.
Porcelli,
Here.
DePrima,
Here.
Ellis Foster,
Here.
Hopman,
Here.
Mongan,
Here.
Singh,
Here.
Weber, Silikowski.
Here.
Quorum exists.
Okay, we have the Code of Ethics. Ms. Hoppin, I believe, wants to read this. Yes, I'm sorry, the pledge. Would everybody please stand? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Hoffman, it's all yours.
Code of Ethics. Vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Okay, district goals. Okay, we have an addendum to our agenda tonight. And I need a motion to add the addendum.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. I need a second.
Single second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I see no hands. Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Andriani,
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Silikowski.
Yes,
The motion to add the addendum is adopted.
thank you. Okay, approval of minutes.
Excuse me, Mr. Silikowski, there are some administrative changes I'd just like to point out.
Yes,
For board members, anything yellow on your agenda was not on the agenda, at the agenda review meeting, and therefore is new, and anything in gray block is an administrative corrections. Members of the public, a schedule of the administrative corrections are in the rear with a copy of the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Silikowski.
thank you. Approval for the minutes.
I'll move it.
Thank you. I need a second.
Andriani.
Thank you. Any discussion? No hands. Mr. Mara?
Andriani,
Yes.
Brasili.
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan.
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution passed.
Thank you. Okay, we have our student representative over here, and I'm sure he has something to say to the audience. Thank you.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank the Board of Ed for having me to speak on behalf of Student Senate. The first thing that Student Senate did was we worked with Peer at the freshman orientation. Went very well. We expect the freshman class to be very involved this year. They're very excited. Secondly, we had Tailgate just last week. It was a great success. We sold about 500 plus shirts and tickets. Made a lot of money for Senate. Our next big event is Pink Out on September 25th, reversing South Brunswick. We will be continuing the tradition of tossing the pink powder at halftime. And to do so, you have to pay, and the money that we receive for that is going to a breast cancer foundation. Next up is our dinner cruise on October 20th. We have about 300 seniors going on it. We have our boat is going up towards the New York skyline. We're the first class to ever get that kind of trip. And then lastly, we have our homecoming on October 29th, and on October 30th is our homecoming game.
I'm impressed. Very good. Thank you very much. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, now the exciting portion of the meeting, recognition. I believe we have recognition here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Solikowski. At this time, if we could have Ms. Kathy Gramata, the principal at Cooper School, join us at the podium. Please move the Board of Education to commend Stephen Verdesco, Old Bridge High School junior, for his hard work and efforts on achieving the high rank of Eagle Scout for Troop 129. Stephen completed an Eagle Scout project by building a seating area with a built-in planter for a tree at the entrance of Cooper School. Ms. Gramata.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call up Mr. Stephen Verdesco. Mr. and Mrs. Verdesco, come on up as well. Come on, you can stand next to me. Hug it out. One more. This evening, I'd like to be able to talk to you briefly about this lovely gentleman who's standing beside me. I had met Stephen initially, 7th grade, as he walked into my classroom at Salk, and it was an interesting connection that we made. And then a couple years later, fast forward, I walk into the high school, sophomore year, and in walks Stephen again. So round 2 with me. And we built an interesting friendship, a very interesting, lovely friendship. Then when I took over at Cooper, Mrs. Brooks had been subbing in the building one day and approached me about the opportunity to maybe have some Eagle Scouts come do some various projects. And then enter Mr. and Mrs. Verdesco, who came, we talked about it, we worked with Stephen, we saw the plans, and fast forward to June, when one weekend in June, I think it was the 23rd, 13th and 14th, Cooper underwent a beautiful project. And I have to tell you, I was blown away. I was there both days to witness Stephen's leadership, to witness the generosity of both his parents, as well as the community that came out. It was amazing. I was at a loss for words. It was a feeling that I knew that Old Bridge embodied as a student and a former resident. It's no surprise to me that we could have this type of generosity. I know that Stephen has finished all of his qualifications, and tonight we're going to present him with this award on behalf of the Old Bridge Township Public Schools and on behalf of Cooper. Just a little something for you to have and to use on your own. I'd also like to thank Mr. Borselli, who is there giving his time and guidance as well, and to all the students that came out, to all the volunteers that came out, for all my staff at Cooper that came out and assisted at the end with planting. Because everything was a very well-oiled machine, thanks to Stephen and Mr. and Mrs. Brooks as well, and his parents. So on behalf of Cooper, thank you, thank you, thank you, and it will mean so much to me because it was from you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Silikowski, can I have 2 minutes to give my Eagle Scout speech?
You could have 5. Go ahead.
All right, so Mr. Borsili is involved with this particular troop, so he is the gentleman who as a board member, was up there with Scout Verdesco. Eagle Scouts are not the Boy Scouts that cross the little old lady across the street. And for those of you who have come to the meetings on a consistent basis, you know that I don't let an opportunity go by to expel the values of the Eagle Scouts and the Boy Scout program. Eagle Scouts have to go through over 300 separate individual requirements before they can achieve the rank of Eagle. This is not something you get just because you put your time in. The project is only the last piece, and that's not just, oh, let me do, or let me fix. This is a project management. You have to supervise, you have to get your own volunteers, you have to do the, look for funds and do fundraising, and it's a tremendous, it's a book that's about this big, and it is a phenomenal experience. And of all the things that you can put on your lifelong resume, when you get to college, they say take everything off from high school except Eagle Scout. So once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout. So thank you very much for contributing to the school district, and to your community. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very well put, Ms. Adriani. Okay, I need a motion to move recognition.
Andriani will move.
Okay, Ms. Hoppen moved, and I need a second.
Andriani.
Any discussion? None? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Borsili?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Ellis Foster?
As a proud Eagle Scout mom, yes.
Hoppen?
Yes.
Mongan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Andriani? Yes. Silikowski?
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Thank you. Okay, we have our superintendent, Mr. Cittadino, next to me, and I guess he has a report tonight.
Yes, as Dr. Cascone is going to take the lead on the superintendent report in reference to our district improvement plan, as he makes his way to the dais, I'll do a little brief introduction as to the district improvement plan. The state standards and the Common Core standards reflected 2009 that certain curriculum must be written to reflect the 2009 standards. For whatever reasons, this district was not in compliance for the 2009 standards for many years. In the past year and a half, due to the hard work of the teachers, many of whom are here tonight, the supervisors, Ms. Kibler, and coming in as Mariana Rivera, closing it out, Dr. Cascone, we did about 4 years' worth of curriculum writing in a year and a half. To come up to compliance, and we are at compliance as of tonight's voting tonight on curriculum for the first time since 2009. So that all is captured in our district improvement plan, and Dr. Cascone, please outline that for us.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cedeno. Just a quick little background. NJ CUSAC, which is the New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum, was established by statute, I believe, in 2007, and what it requires is that every 3 years, school districts undergo a comprehensive review in 5 different areas: instruction and program, fiscal management, governance, operations, and personnel. It starts with the district self-assessment, and then a county team comes in and does a really comprehensive review of documents, et cetera, to determine how that matches up with our self-assessment. Let me start by saying that in the areas of fiscal management, governance, operations, and personnel, the district rated itself with 100%, and the county concurred in all 4 of those areas. So that was great news. The one area in which the district was found to be in need was in the area of instruction and program, which is essentially curriculum. The district scored itself with an 81%, and the county scored us at a 49%. And one of the main reasons for that was that there was a, call it a moratorium that had been placed on curriculum writing for, I've heard, 2 years. And that was an administrative decision. It was prior to Mr. Cittadino's administration, it's worth noting. And that really put the district behind the 8 ball as far as its updating of its curriculum. In advance of the full audit, the district recognized that this was an area that there was going to be need, and as Mr. Cittadino alluded to, kind of underwent this massive curriculum writing initiative, particularly in the areas of world language and social studies were the two areas which were in the greatest need of revision. And so those were not completed by the time the audit team came in. We rated ourselves as an 81%. Because we believed that our assessments, we assessed our own assessments as being in alignment with 2009, although the curriculum hadn't been. The state basically said, if your curriculum's out of line, then your assessments are as well. That was really our first and main priority, was to get those curriculum revised. And as Mr. Cittadino mentioned, as of the end of the summer, the last of those world language and social studies curriculum were revised, and that was 6 months in advance of when they're coming back. They're coming back later this year to check on what we've done. This district improvement plan is essentially, they're kind of behind where we are already, and they're asking what we're going to do about it. So a lot of this district improvement plan is really talking about what we've already done to correct it, which was namely to undergo a ton of curriculum writing in these two areas. But there are some additional things that we've done to kind of safeguard against something like this happening again. One, obviously, is working very closely with the business office in ensuring, and the curriculum office, obviously, to ensure that the proper funding is allocated on an annual basis, and that we've developed an effective 5-year plan, which we're in the midst of revising, to ensure that it's done on a regular basis so that we don't have that lag again. But we've also put in place some additional things, namely we've always had the instructional council. We put together a curriculum instruction assessment team this year, which is made up of supervisors and directors, and that's really just to make sense of mandates, make sense of our curricular initiatives, and make sure that we're pushing those out in an effective manner. There really, I mean, there are many, many things that have been going on. Just kind of a few highlights. We've been really focusing on our assessments, moving to quarterly assessments. We've gone to a number of different digital-based benchmarking software, Achieve 3000, which is now being implemented at the middle school, our RTI initiative, a response to intervention initiative. And these are all really points that address some of the other areas in which we lost points, which were gaps in the performance of our students on state tests versus what the state is saying we need to do. And of course, for those of us who are in the classroom and working in schools, the state is able to kind of push forth these kind of theoretical numbers, but we know that when we're working with live human beings in the classroom, it's a whole different ballgame. So it's not unusual for those gaps to be in place. Regardless, the district has really been aggressive in a number of different ways to really kind of do what we can to close that gap, and really to kind of, in the spirit of the original No Child Left Behind, to ensure that 100% of our students are meeting with success at their level. Again, the implementation of RTI in Year 2, K-5, the formation of an intervention referral services task force at the high school. We're looking at our use of Study Island software to develop SMART goals, so that we're using that more consistently across the board. We also are using Easy CBM software, web-based software at the elementary schools, again, to benchmark students' literacy and math levels early on. The district has invested quite a bit in that, and I think it's money, my personal opinion, and obviously in the opinion of the board, well spent. Also, the implementation of our Journeys ELA series. We utilize an online professional learning program called Edivator PD360, which gives teachers access and administrators access to online training videos. Our principals are participating in the Monmouth County Principals Academy. This year, our teachers and administrators attended the New Jersey Department of Education Regional Achievement Coach Training this summer. We're also utilizing an internally created data analysis created by our very own Dr. Ferry called Soar the Scores, which enables us to really kind of get into student data and see where we can improve. There are many, many things which are happening, but I think the most important takeaways, and I'll close on this, is that the district was proactive. They didn't wait for the state to come in and say, you have to do this. We recognized what we needed to do. We corrected it ahead of schedule, and then we've also put safeguards in place to ensure that that kind of lapse doesn't happen again. And I'm very confident that the next time we're asked to be audited or submit our statement of assurance for instruction program, next time we will, in fact, get 100%. So thank you for your attention. Any questions from the board? Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Can you just hit the microphone? Terrific. The second part is our progress towards goals, and I'm going to speak to one of our two-year goals and how it reflects into our school opening this year. The district goal is to undertake an assessment of our facilities over the next 2 years, this being our second year, and develop a plan and timelines for upgrades and repairs and to optimize the facilities utilization to enhance delivery of instructional and educational services for our students. We started off at the spring of last year, and the board approved the process to have our buildings and do a facility study to look at our facilities, our schools, and see what the shelf life of these schools are, where they need repairs, and to predict where financial assets will have to go later on to make them manageable and usable. They came at a great time as the information from that study, because on the heels of that, Mr. Mara attended a symposium about ESIPs and took back information about how we can look into an energy savings plan that'll allow us to have a tax-based neutral funds that we can possibly put towards upgrades to our facilities. One of the upgrades that everyone always talks about, even though in New Jersey it is probably used for 2.5 months a year, would be air conditioning for our buildings that don't have air conditioning, to make them much more comfortable and instructional friendly, especially at the elementary. And that brings us to the opening of the school year. You know, looking at the calendar and Labor Day being late this year and everything, we had a very hot opening to our school year. I think it was hotter at the opening than it was in most of August, and that's the tough part of being a superintendent and tough part of being a classroom teacher. Either of you, both of you are going to wind up taking the heat at some point. So looking at that, the importance is that we do look to add air conditioning to these buildings, and I think Mr. Mara, as well as the board, in working with the committee chair of strategic planning, Mr. Borsili, have a plan in place that will allow us to explore this as an opportunity for our schools and to improve the conditions of our schools, windows, and so forth, to make them more energy efficient. Aside from that, I want to commend all of the parents, students, and staff for a very smooth opening to the 2015-16 school year. We've had some initiatives that have obviously saving us funds, like the Go Green initiative. We're going to a paperless district, and this has allowed us to transition smoothly through it. I know there's always hiccups in the road whenever we move towards a more greater reliance on technology, but I think getting through that, I think the district is rising to that and recognizes the need to be less paperless and leave less of a blueprint on the environment, or a footprint, I should say. So thank you, everyone, for a very smooth opening school year, and I've visited every one of the classrooms and buildings, and the kids were eager to be there, even with the heat. So thank you for you and your perseverance, and the students as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Cittadino. Okay, any correspondence, Mr. Mayor? No, thank you. Any special committee reports? I believe we have a couple of committees coming up, meetings next week, right?
Yes, our first curriculum meeting will be September 21st at 7 o'clock. That's Monday. Please try to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoppman. Anyone else?
There's a policy committee on the 22nd at 7 at the administration building.
Thank you, Ms. Foster.
And Mr. Solikowski, the 24th is athletics, medical services, and food services.
Thank you.
And we did
And our
have-
doors are open for everybody.
And we did have a personnel meeting. So I have some notes. Okay. We've been running the personnel meetings during the day. I had a little trouble with the board format, so as soon as I get that straightened out, everyone will get their notes from me. But basically, on the agenda, a large portion of it was in terms of the sixth period for the secondary staffing. There seems to be difficulty in filling some positions. In some cases, we've hired somebody and they've taken a job elsewhere. In other cases, we've had somebody that's out on a medical leave or due to an injury, and they were expected back, and then that doesn't happen. Along with that, we have some others that seem to be the way their schedule falls out, they teach a sixth period all the time. So Mr. Sasso was kind enough to come over after being invited to the personnel meeting by Dr. Hoker to explain to those committee members the reasons behind the same group of six-period assignments that we seem to get over and over again at the beginning of the school year. All of them are valid reasons, and we had a very nice discussion with Mr. Sasso about that. One of the other things is a speech pathologist / teacher. We seem to have a little disagreement about the correct, politically correct terminology for the position. But with the large increase in preschool with special needs, we find that many of them are in need of speech services. So this is a staff member that's going to have to be added, and quite possibly other staffing related to special needs will be forthcoming as our numbers still increase. The other big item at the meeting that was discussed was the job descriptions. And I know that in some cases, the board hasn't had a chance to discuss them at length. But there were quite a few that were given out at the agenda meeting. They're in the portal. Some of us hadn't had a chance to review them. I know some of us have a little technology issue, which is ironic since some of the job descriptions are about the technology department. The other thing is the phys ed and the special ed. We have young disabled children that are obviously entitled to phys ed classes. They need an adaptive PE class. So we need to look into that in terms of, well, the administration is looking into that. Right now, there's 24 children in that class, and that's way too much. Our kindergarten enrollment numbers are at maximum, if I remember, or close to maximum, very close to maximum. In some of the schools, they are at maximum, and there is a rollover to another school. And I guess that's about it, as far as my notes are concerned. I do have some historical information, if anybody wants it, about the number of sixth periods over the last 5 years, and we seem to have dropped. Mr. Sasso was working very diligently in trying to drop the number of six-period classes that are being assigned at the beginning of the school year.
Ms. Adrienne, I believe it dropped by 50% in the last 4 or 5 years, hasn't
I
it?
think the numbers I have were in 2008. This is not like in the middle of the year if somebody gets hurt or goes out on maternity leave or whatever, but the numbers I was given in 2008, at the opening of school, we had 29 sixth period assignments. 2009, there were 39 sixth period assignments. And for 2013 and 14, we opened up with 13 and 14 sixth period assignments. So we went from 30 to 39 down to 14 and 15. So they're working hard to try and rectify that situation.
If I can just add, so starting the year 2015-16, we were starting with 15 sixth periods. We've added a couple since then that were not planned based on the number of students enrolled in specific courses. But the additions that you're seeing now, some of them are to replace a teacher who has gone out on leave, that we can't fill their position with a certified teacher. So to create the consistency within the instruction, we assign a sixth period, and then that locks a certified teacher into that class. In addition, Mrs. Andriani mentioned the adaptive PE. So last year at this time, we had 14 students in adaptive PE, and this year we have 24. And another area that we've increased to sixth period is with the ESL, and this is due to enrollment numbers increasing over the summer for that group, for the group of students that needs those services. So we've had to add there. Doesn't require us to add an entire teacher, but we can manage with the sixth period. So it was important during that personnel meeting, to go over this information and to provide the history, just showing that, we really are looking at them and looking at how to provide that instruction. Some of our specialty areas are harder to fill, which is why they start the year with the sixth period.
just another, so that the board members are aware, Dr. Hoka just mentioned the ESL. So usually the first thing that comes to mind is that it is Spanish language. And that doesn't seem to be the case. According to Mr. Sasso, that is not where our budding population is coming from. We have, if my memory holds, there was some Croatian, some Russian speaking students, and at least one refugee. We have one person from the Sudan or one of the other
I believe somebody
developing countries
from
in
Ukraine
Africa.
too, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Our population increased at the high school for the students requiring services, but I did meet with Mrs. Keeler this morning also, where we're seeing some of our numbers are increasing at our elementary for the students in need of the ESL services and the language services. So it's something that we're watching. But definitely it has had an impact at the high school, and it was something that happened over the summer that, unfortunately, we couldn't plan ahead for because they're newly enrolled students.
Thank you for the explanation. Very well put.
Mr. Solikowski, I have a question.
Go ahead.
One point that was raised was in our kindergarten classes, many of our kindergarten classes, we've hit the maximum. I know in the past we've had discussions about maximum class numbers, so I'd just like to ask the question, what is the maximum number?
So the maximum number, and it's 25. However, there are some schools that have a lower number based on the size of the classroom where we have kindergarten. So we have Grissom Elementary School is 21, is the max, 21 or 22, Grissom is 22. There are some schools that cap at 23 based on the number of students that are that are mainstreamed in. But our maximum number for a classroom that is the standard size and does not have any students mainstreamed is 25. Now, we can go above that if there's a paraprofessional in the classroom. We have we have four schools that are closed right now and would have to go into overflow or already are in overflow. And we have some schools that are very close to that. And just to give you an example of the way that the numbers change, we had one of our elementary schools had 5 students in overflow the week before school started, and the day of school opened, they didn't have anyone in overflow. So that is because some were placed and required special services, and because some students moved out, and then we were able to invite those students that were in overflow back to the home school. So the numbers we're constantly watching. I did give the board an updated list in your packet there of the current numbers for kindergarten.
Okay, I'll take a look at those. Thank you. I just want to highlight the point that I just think that there's way too many students in kindergarten classes, and the kindergarten program is terrific. It's a full-day program and everything, and I love it, but we really need to start planning how we're going to handle this going forward, because just having that many students in a classroom with no paraprofessional, I think, is just not the safest alternative for our students. And I'm sure it puts a lot of stress on our teachers as well.
Thank you, Mr. Borselli.
Mr. Sulikowski?
Yes.
Thank you. Just to update everyone on the status of the negotiations committee, just as far as dates go and when we've met and when we will meet in the future. We did have a meeting on September 9th with the OBEA, with the mediator. That was our first session with the mediator. We have 2 more meetings scheduled, Saturday, October 24th, and Monday, November 2nd. We also have negotiations meetings scheduled with the Supervisors Association on September 22nd. And so far, we have completed negotiations, and settlement contracts have been approved by the board for the noon hour supervisors, for the Old Bridge Administrators Association, which are the principals and vice principals, and with the Old Bridge Directors Association. So.
Thank you, Ms. Monaghan. Okay, hearing of residents on agenda items only. Hearing of residents. Would anybody like to say anything? I see no hands. Okay, policy. I need a motion to move policy.
Mongan will move.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. I need a second.
Porcelli will
Single
second.
second.
Mr. Singh, Mr. Borselli. Either way. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani. Porcelli,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Curriculum, 1 through 8. I need a motion to move curriculum 1 through 8.
Hopman will make a motion to move curriculum 1 through 8.
Thank you, Ms. Hoppen. I need a second.
Mongan will second.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Porcelli.
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 8 pass.
Okay, athletics. I need a motion to move athletics. We only have one.
Andriani will move.
Thank you. Any second?
I'll move it.
Ms. Foster seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Okay, finance, 1 through 10. I need a motion to move finance.
Mongan will move.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan.
Single second.
Mr. Singh, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh, Andriani.
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 10 pass.
A non-certified personnel office. We have one item here. I need a motion to move non-certified personnel office.
Mongan will move non-certificated personnel office.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. Thank you, Ms. Hoppen. Second. Discussion. Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani.
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Non-certified personnel operational. I need a motion to move one item.
Mongan will move non-certificated personnel op.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. I need a second.
Andriani?
Thank you, Ms. Adriani. Any discussion?
I have one question, please.
Yes.
The person noted, I don't know, maybe I'm confused, he's already a security guard. Is there a difference, is there a difference in salary or a difference in position?
His question is that he's already
He's
employed.
already a security guard. The person noted is already a security guard, so is there a change in stature or salary or something?
It's the number of hours.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's the number of hours.
He was a part-time.
Is this the security guard that's going to be in the main lobby coming into the high school? Is this the position? Okay, thank you for the explanation. Okay, I believe we had a motion to move it, and you had a second. I didn't have a second, I need a second. Donna? Okay, any discussion? We had a discussion. Mr. Mayor?
Weber? Andriani?
Yes.
Porcelli?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Hopman?
Yes.
Mongan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Okay, non-certified personnel other, 1 through 15. Wait. I apologize, 1 through 16. Okay, separating number 12. I need a motion to move 1 through 16,
Mongan will move.
separating 12.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Who was first on the vote?
Nancy.
Nancy? Okay, any discussion? Yes, I would like to separate number 12 for further research on my part, and I guess a couple of other board members. We got a thick packet about this thick last week, and it's the reclassification of the technology department, the technicians, job titles. And I think we should discuss this at the next agenda meeting before we put it back on the table. And I need a motion to table it. So I will pass the motion. I need another person to second.
I'll second it.
Do you want to Mr. Silikowski, you want to table this until the agenda meeting?
Right.
Is there some other venue in which we can discuss it prior to waiting another month? I mean, I don't know. Is there another meeting of some
I mean,
sort
the
that it
people
would
are
be
already
applicable?
working. This is just reclassifying the job description.
Right.
I want to know what everybody's going to be doing, okay?
Right. Does that doesn't hold anybody back for anything, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't affect anybody's, work.
Well,
They're still working.
that's really I wanted to make clear that we would not be creating havoc at the beginning of the school year because we're not moving forward with this. So we have time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody still comes in the morning and leaves at the end of the day. And hopefully Ms. Hoker or Dr. Hoker could clarify some of these positions, because I have questions and I don't want to talk about it on TV. Okay, I need a roll call to table it.
Okay, so a vote on the tabling of item number 12.
All of 12?
All of 12.
No, resolution number 12.
Resolution number 12, right.
Okay, Andriani?
Sure.
Porcelli?
Yes.
DePrima?
No.
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Hopman?
No vote.
Mongan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Item number 12 is tabled.
Okay, now we need a roll call for 1 through 11 and 13 through 15, or 16.
Do we need a motion, or did we pass the motion? Oh, yeah.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Andriani?
Yes.
Porcelli?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Hopman?
Yes.
Mongan? Singh?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 11 and 13 through 16 pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certified personnel. Boy, it's a long one. 1 through 28. I need a motion to move certified personnel 1 through 28.
Hopman will make a motion to move certificated personnel 1 through 28.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. I need a second.
Single second.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Any discussion?
Separation, please.
Yes.
Number 25 and number 26.
Okay.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Silikowski, since we're at certificated personnel, we've added a replacement for Dr. Ogolia, and I see her in the back of the room, and she has yet to meet the rest of the board members. Mr. Silikowski and I were asked or invited to be involved in the final interview process, so we got the opportunity to meet Mrs. Schneider to replace Mark as a science supervisor. So I would just, you all haven't had a chance to meet her, so at least you have a face to go with the name now. So, good evening, Mrs. Snyder. You want to come up and say hello?
Thank you, everyone. I'm really pleased to join you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I have a question, please. I don't know.
Yes.
Number 26, what will Mr. Fox be doing? Employment of Benjamin Fox. Number 27, sorry.
Yes.
Something
The
about,
role of Mr. Fox, because we have still have a shortage of supervisor area, because Ms. Schneider's previous district is holding her to her 60 days, and we need to start the observation cycle. He's going to start us off at that very reasonable per diem rate, so that we're not behind when she comes in and she's not overwhelmed with an inordinate amount of evaluations to begin under Achieve New Jersey.
He's a bargain, by the way, too. $300 a day. Okay, so we're voting on 1 through 24 and 27 and 28, and we separated 25 and 26. Okay, Mr. Mara?
Okay, so this is a vote on 1 through 24 and 27 through 28.
Yes.
Andriani,
yes.
Borsili,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Silikowski.
Yes.
Okay, resolutions 1 through 24, 27, and 28 pass.
Okay, on number 25 and 26, are we going to lump these together, or are they separate, each one of them? Okay, number 25, any discussion?
Well, these attachments, these job descriptions are with the other batch? So is,
All of the drafts of these job descriptions were provided back in, I believe, May or June. That's when we first went over them with personnel. And then last week with the agenda, you had the current job description attached to the proposed job description. And then personnel met, we went over, reviewed, there were some questions, and then the final job description that was meant for approval tonight was put into the board portal. So they're all in that, they were
Right.
all in that attachment.
But Dr. Ho, I don't think it's a matter of whether or not they are acceptable or not. It's just a matter of the fact that some of the board members hadn't had a chance to discuss it. So they read it over, and they might want some, back and forth with some of the other board members. So I'm just, since it's separated, it was with the same batch with the technology. I've already gone through them, and I'm okay with it, but if the rest of the board wants to hold off on them because they were in the full batch, I'm okay with that, too.
Motion to table item 25.
Okay, so we have a motion to table 25 and 26, or just 25? 25. Second.
Mongan will second.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan.
And again, can I just make sure, though, again, these, similar to the other ones, they don't affect any current, does it? Does it have any impact on anybody?
Drafts went out back in May or June. I don't remember exactly which month, but that was the first time that they were brought up The technology job descriptions haven't changed since then. They're the same ones, but the elementary school counselor, social worker, we've discussed it through personnel. There were some questions, there was some history that, we went through to get some answers regarding the title of the job and the responsibilities. So that was, a work in progress. And the same thing, the substitute teacher, and one of the things that the board had asked when they were originally presented was to see the comparison between the current and the proposed. So that's what was provided last week. It's the same job description, but you had the current job description attached with the proposed and the areas, so you could see what the differences were and the improvements. Most of the technology ones were just bringing in some of the current skills that were not in the former job descriptions. And the counseling social worker, the component there was including them in part of the process for the response to intervention, which was not a program we had in place prior to when the job description was originally created. So we just wanted to clarify that and include the additional supervisor as reports to, because that position wasn't there when that job description was originally created. The substitute one was actually on, this even predates me, but I guess mimeographed paper, and was typed, and we just were updating it and again, bringing it into the 21st century.
So we're still tabling number 25, right?
My point before your vote is, and it's of no disrespect to the board, but this is a 3.5-month process in which they've been reviewable, and no one's reviewed it by this point. We're going to wait another month to review it, and it stymies the progress trying to move forward. Most of the changes are, like we said, moving from typed documents to electronic documents. Now, if something was, you've been given copies of it, copies of the changes of it, the new one, the old ones, and we're sitting here saying we want to table it because we haven't had enough time to review since May.
I agree with Mr. Cittadino. None of this is coming to a surprise to us, any of it, so I'm really not sure why anybody wants to table anything, but that's your prerogative.
Okay, so, Mr. Mayor, I need a vote to table 25.
Andriani,
No.
Porcelli,
No.
DePrima,
No.
Ellis Foster,
No.
Annette Hopman,
No.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
No.
Weber, Silikowski.
Yes,
Item 25 is not tabled.
thank you. Okay, now we're voting on 26. Sorry, 25.
Andriani,
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
No vote.
Singh,
Yes.
Weber,
No.
Silikowski.
No,
Resolution 25 passes.
thank you. I guess now we're going to 26.
Andriani,
Yes.
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
No.
Singh,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Silikowski.
Yes,
Resolution 26 passes.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, non-certified personnel transportation, I believe we have 4 items. I need a motion to move non-certified personnel transportation, 1 through 4.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. I need a second.
Hopman will second.
Thank you, Ms. Hoppin. Any discussion? Mr. Mayor?
Porcelli,
Yes.
DePrima,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Hopman,
Yes.
Mongan,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Silikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 4 pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Supplies, equipment, and services, 1 and 2. I need a motion to move supplies, equipment, and services, 1-2.
So moved.
Thank you. I need a second.
Single second.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Mayor.
DePrima? Ellis
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Hopman?
Yes.
Mungan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Porcelli?
Yes.
Silikowski?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Transportation. I need a motion to move transportation 1 through 8.
Mongan will move.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. I need a second. Thank you, Ms. Hoppin. Any discussion? Mr. Mayor?
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Hopman?
Yes.
Mungan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Porcelli? Yes. DePrima? Yes. Silikowski?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 8 pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Miscellaneous, 1 through 5. I need a motion to move miscellaneous.
Mongan will move.
Thank you, Ms. Mongan. I need a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Mayor?
Hopman?
Yes.
Mungan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Porcelli?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Silikowski?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 5 pass.
Thank you. Okay, Board Secretary and Board Business, nothing there. Okay, hearing of residents on any items pertaining to the school system. Anything? Yes. What you can do is you can go up to the podium over there. Hit the little button over there, and it's all yours.
Hi, hello everyone. It's the first time I've come to a meeting and it's very informative. And I had sent an email to the superintendent and I had asked why the 1 week of the 1 week spring break was taken out. And I realized what the vote meant. It meant you guys coming together and putting the vote together. And I was just wondering why that came to be and can it be reversed? Because I feel that that spring break is very important, not only to the children to recoup right before school starts, but to the teachers as well. So I was just wondering if you could backtrack and see how that came to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your name?
Stephanie Montigny.
I didn't get the last name. Montigny, Ms. Montigny. There's a few elements of it. One, the calendar sometimes is driven by Department of Education mandates. So at the time when the calendar was put together, we were presented with a testing calendar for the park, which still included a two-week, a two testing cycle for the month of April and then again in the month of May. March, April, and then again in May. Since that time, the Department of Education, as they've done in a few things, have reversed their opinions on the Common Core and park. And now the park is still a rather lengthy testing cycle, but it'll take place in the second part of the cycle, which is May. The other part of the consideration was that it's a very different calendar this year, starting with the late Labor Day, the religious holidays from multiple faiths that take place during the middle of the week, and the fact that 2 of the religious holidays in the spring are separated by almost a month's time. So to have those, to pay respects to those, and to also be reflective of a collective bargaining agreement calendar that has 182 instructional days in it, was necessary for us to, because most districts have 180 days, which is the state minimum. Old Bridge operates on 182 days, and that's part of a negotiation. Now, that's still going on in negotiations, that part of the calendar, and so until that's one of the things that are resolved, it really wouldn't be prudent for the board to look at changing the calendar because we don't know where that's going to fall. We'd have to know how many days, and if it's still at 182 days, it would be difficult to have that calendar with the full spring break, pay respects to both holidays, and still get out before it gets too hot in the late days of June. And that was everything that the board considered when the little poll was put out to the public and people voted on it, and then the information was brought back to the board, and the board took action on a calendar. If I've left anything out, any board members want to chime in on it, please feel free.
Thank you very much. Just want to ask you, how is it the other communities around us, they're able to get the 1 week? I'm just curious.
One of the things we talk about is that 182 days versus 180 days. Now, 2 days might not mean that seem like that much, but if it's like a Thursday, Friday, and then inclusive of any built-in snow days, it brings you to the next week. If you're, then you're coming back on a Monday, which is the 3rd week of June, instead of finishing in the 2nd week of June. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi. I'm a parent. I'm a terrible public speaker, by the way.
What is your name?
My name is Brooke Richards Patterson. My daughter is a 7th grader. We recently had a PTA meeting at Salk, and we had some discussion about Fairview and how they bumped down to 1 day this year. And so we got to talking, and unofficial people discussed the fact that we don't have enough volunteers, and that's why we have to bump it down to 1 day. And this has been not only tradition, but part of the experience of going is the overnight part. And the more we got into depth in the conversation as to why there's not volunteers is because there seems to be no incentives. It has to be a district employee, which limits who can volunteer, and there seems to be no incentive. There's no discussion as to whether it's going to be worth it for a teacher or any personnel. Are they going to get paid to do this outside of their own personal use of time? And I guess, the fact that the contracts are up in the air is discouraging to our teachers who are everything to us. So it started with a small issue, but it's obviously a much bigger issue, is, where's the support for our teachers in wanting them to give back? That's it.
Thank you. Mrs. Cittadino?
I will say, without going too much into the collective bargaining negotiations, that is something that has been discussed by both parties, and unfortunately, by no fault of any one party, that the negotiations have not been completed yet, and that's something in the middle of being discussed. I know that the teachers have acted on good faith and as chaperones for this trip for almost 50 years, and it's very... Yeah, it's nothing left to say. He said, you got it all.
He said it all.
He said it all. So, and it's unfortunate that this is happening at this time. I have been in contact with board members, administration from both schools as late as tonight to discuss alternative plans. There's something like this, you can't give back. I can't say that you have another Fairview. And, when I was a principal at Salk School, there was conversation about, eliminating Fairview. But for me, as someone who's gone as a teacher, someone who's gone as a parent, someone who's gone as a principal, I see great value in it, and it's something that should be preserved and always happen. So whatever we have to do to two sides to work together to preserve that happens in the future, I encourage us all to do that. As far as, this year, I'm going to talk to board members collectively after this meeting with some ideas, and I've talked to, again, Dr. Simon and Mr. Rezis about alternative things we could do in the spring to mirror what kind of overnight activities the students would enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again. I can't believe it's been 2 years. When you came up, I was like, her daughter's in 6th grade, why is she coming up? And then I can't believe it's already been since
7th grade. I'm incredibly happy it's all.
Terrific.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else on any educational items pertaining to the school system? No one? I see no hands. Okay, old business. Any old business?
Oh, I got a question. I'm not sure if it's old business or new business. But about our board goals and superintendent goals, what we're supposed to be doing, is there a status of when we're meeting or what we're doing?
Yes, that will be done right after the conferences in Atlantic City, probably the first week of November. Anyone else with old
Well, I was going to
business?
set that sooner than later. I'm just with schedules, and then we're hitting the holidays and things like that. So do we have a date for that? Or, I mean, I would want to get it on the calendars sooner than later.
I will, Mr. Mara, a date probably by the end of next week.
Okay.
Thank you. Any new business?
Mr. Sulikowski, yes, please. I was contacted numerous times at the beginning of the school year, and I didn't notice. My kids are out of school so long, I don't know how long it's been going on, but I want to commend the teachers. Of course, everybody, but the ones in question here are the elementary and mainly kindergarten teachers. Apparently, these teachers go out of the way and send little notes to the children the night before, phone calls, and I mean, that's got to mean the world for a 5-year-old saying, wow, Miss So-and-so contacted me and they're looking forward to school, and thank you. I have a question. I think Ms. Walsh is in the back. I don't know if Mr. G is here. Quick question. Is it reasonable to ask for some kind of monitor or auxiliary scoreboard or something in the concession stand? A lot of the people that work there are constantly asking the score of the game, and due to the configuration of the field, the scoreboard's not visible. I was just wondering. I don't know. We don't send like any kind of beam or something that we could, I don't know. Yeah. In this day and age, I don't know technology. So it's probably.
That's something we have to sit and figure out.
Just asking. No, it's just, a lot of people that they're there for 3 hours and they have no idea what's going on in the field. Just thought I'd ask. Thank you. But again, thank you to the teachers. That must make a little child jubilant about going to school.
Thank you, Mr. DePrima. Anyone else?
I have new business.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just 2 things. This will be the first Jessica Uvegas La Negro blood drive this Saturday, September 19th at the GNC from 9 to 3. As everyone is aware, we lost a valuable staff member in Jessica last year, and her family has decided to honor and remember her through giving the chance of life to those in need, and we're going to do that with a first blood drive at that time. So if you can stop by from 9 to 3 at the GNC. And secondly is Old Bridge Day is September 26th. Of course, the administration will be having a table there with information about our schools and some fun activities for parents and students to come by. And I'm sure the OBEA will be there, and the PTSA will be there, and so a lot of great information about our schools will be had at the Old Bridge Day.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. Anyone else?
Yes. I just want to say it was a great beginning of the school year. Both of my children had great opening of school. My daughter, who's in 4th grade, is playing the trumpet, and she just won't stop playing it. She loves it. She's having so much fun. I want to thank all of the teachers. I know that they're going through a very difficult time right now. But we were at our my daughter's PTA meeting the night that the negotiation meeting was going on, and so we didn't have any teacher representation there, and our PTA president had explained to them why, and said, you know, they need to be there to support their union. And one thing that I said, and I still stand by it, is that, you know, I think most of the parents didn't even realize what the teachers are going through, and part of the reason is because when you come into the classroom, you can put it behind you. When I showed up, I know for the first day of school, I walked my daughter down to school, and there was all the teachers and paraprofessionals and all of the staff with big smiles on their faces, giving the students hugs and everything, and that's what it's really all about, and I want to thank everyone for that. I want to thank the district for doing such a great job last Friday, commemorating September 11th. My family went through a lot on that day, and my wife and I used to work in the World Trade Center, and we lost a lot of friends, so we went through a lot. So my children, again, understand what that day is about, but I know most of the students in our district don't, so it's important for them to learn about it. And at a time when, you know, if anybody looks at the news, not only in the state of New Jersey, but around the country, you're seeing, you know, all these negative stories about football programs, high school football programs. But Old Bridge High School had a positive one written about their football program and the way that they recognized the 9/11 events, running out on the field with the flag, led by one student who was already committed to the Marines. And last year, I think it was at the June PTSA meeting, one parent had mentioned about one of her children who was after graduation, he had enlisted, and you know, we do have so many students that after graduation, before going on to college or their careers, you know, take that time out to serve our country and help protect our freedoms. And you know, maybe we can discuss sometime in the near future how we can recognize all of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Borselli. Anyone else? Okay, we will be going into adjournment to discuss negotiations and other items pertaining to the school system. And I need a motion to go into adjournment, or better yet, close up the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. I need a second.
Mongan will
Ms.
second.
Mongan.
Motion to go into closed session, Andriani. Borsili. Prima.
Yes.
Ellis Foster.
Yes.
Hopman.
Yes.
Mongan. Singh.
Yes.
Weber. Sulikowski.
Yes. Thank
Motion
you.
to go into closed session passes.
Yes.
Executive session will last approximately